All right, Mr. Philip Martin, welcome to Bayou Town. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Not the funnest times, I guess, for you. Let me give you a little chance to, first of all, explain where you're at. Tough position where you're at, but give us an overall view on the situation right now with the school system.
Our school system, as many school systems across the state, are experiencing some very significant financial problems. If misery loves company, we have a lot of company. That does nothing to solve our problems in Terrebonne Parish, however. I'll give you a little background, just a little history that puts things in perspective to how we are today. A year ago last February, the school board began a little apprehensive, and so was I, that, you know, guys, the economy looks like things. Now remember, this is a year ago.
Right.
And the rest of the country was already pretty deep into a recession at that time. And at that point in time, we basically were doing fairly good down here, but there was some omens that just made everybody feel a little uncomfortable. We went into an austerity measure then, a year ago. By attrition. People were retiring. Unless it was a critical need, we didn't fill it. We have 43 positions today that have become vacant in the last year that have gone unfilled. And at the time when we were doing that, I really got hammered, quite honestly, from a lot of sources. Well, why you're not filling that position, and why you're not filling this position, and why you're not filling that position. Because at the time, quite honestly, the finances were not as bleak as they are today.
And if you did, you'd have to be laying them off with the rest today.
Well, you know, Martin, the standard answer I gave was something very similar to that. It's a lot easier not just to hire somebody than to go tell somebody you don't have a job.
Right, right.
You know, and that was a fear that I had then and still have today, by the way. And in an attempt to avoid doing that, I said, you know, I just don't want to hire someone to tell them a year later you're not hired. Mm-hmm. And until the financial picture that I feel secure with, until it becomes more solid, I'm not going to hire. And we haven't.
Okay. Right.
We have not been. Not only have we not been hiring, we haven't been spending money. Mm-hmm. We have well over $1 million of capital projects that I've simply said, not now.
Okay.
Board approved, but it's like,
time is not there.
Let's hold off. Mm-hmm. Let's hold off. Now there's some crucial things. You know, if a door falls off the hinges, you got to fix it.
Right.
You know, and the capital projects there was no single major one, but it was a sidewalk here, a canopy here, stage curtains for the high schools there. You know, it all added up to about $1.5 million worth of stuff. So we've basically been in for a year not buying stuff.
Okay.
And not filling positions. Last year we cut from the budget we're in right now, we cut $6 million out the general fund budget. It eliminated 80 positions. That largely went unfelt, unnoticed, because we were able to do it in a manner largely through attrition.
Right.
Attrition is a kind of RIF, by the way, and I'll describe RIF. It stands for reduction in force. It is a procedure
almost voluntary. I mean, it's people that are going to be out the system anyway.
It's a painless RIF.
Right.
But it's slow. Mm-hmm. It takes place over time. And, you know, if you do it long enough, you can get to where, if you have enough time, you can get to where you need to be.
Before you go on with RIF, explain to the audience, a lot of people are hearing RIF.
RIF,
and they don't know what it means.
RIF is just simply an acronym for reduction in force. Actually, there's a Louisiana law that addresses RIF.
And the school board allowed you the opportunity to go into RIF.
Last night, the board voted for me to allow to incorporate RIF in the budget I'm going to be preparing for next year.
Right. Okay.
Now, I do want to be clear. There's been no approval of what's going to be RIF. That's another debate, another dialogue, another issue for another day. You know,
do they have to approve your recommendation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, absolutely.
So you'll come up with a plan and they got to vote on it?
Yes. I have to have board permission by policy to use RIF.
Okay.
As a budgetary process, I need board authorization to utilize RIF. They did that last night.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how do you rank the personnel that you're going to be looking at to eliminate
Sure.
in the RIF program?
RIF in process is fairly simplistic. In reality, it's very painful.
Right.
It's total seniority. And I'm going to make up a category of one that we don't have. If I had 100 bricklayers, and we were going to say, well, we're going down to 80 bricklayers, and we got bricklayers at 38 schools,
Right.
and that's their job class called bricklayers. You would rank them by seniority from 1 through the 80, and you would, if you're cutting off 20, you take the top 60, they stay, the bottom 80, the bottom 20 go. It's that simple.
Okay.
You know, now, like I said, it's a simple process, but it's a painful one to do.
But I guess what makes it a little more complicated, if you have a certified bricklayer, so to speak, how does a certification fall into the scheme?
Certification is part of the equation, but I'm assuming these are all certified bricklayers.
Okay,
Let's make it all apples for
Okay.
for
All right.
non-certified people go first. You know,
Right.
they're taken out of that.
Am I to assume that non-certified personnel in this program are all going to be going? Or will
For the
some
most-
be around?
You know, to say all or never, use every one of the, anytime I use those two words, there's always going to be an exception. But for the most part, that will probably be true. That will probably be true. Let me back up to a little bit of the historical background of the financial situation.
Right.
We cut $6 million out the budget last year, 80 positions. We devised a budget, a very conservative budget. Between now and then, in that short period of time, a lot of things have been happening. No one, I don't think, would have said a year ago our sales tax would be down 28%. You know, in some months, and it's fluctuating up and down, but the fluctuation up and down is far below from where it was.
Right.
It just one month is not as low as it was.
It's still bad news no matter how you look at
It's
it.
still bad news.
Right.
You know, the sales tax down. We're down like 9.2 million. The school
That's
sales
better
tax.
than 13 million,
Well, yeah, it is.
but it's still bad news.
It's still very.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still. When you lose 9 million, you got to go find 9 million.
Right.